Hello guys, I'm Sakshit.
I'm Jill Tandel.
So this is our Spotify database project and we are going to show you what we did in this group project.
First of all, we created the backend part. So we started with the tables, which we required in the music library. So based on that, these are the tables.
That we created. After creating like user table, tracks, playlist, artists, albums, and listening history table, we moved on to the history tables.
History tables were created so that whenever we'll store the historical data, it will be stored in this history
History
table.
tables, yeah. So all the historical things, like if the user enter his name or like enters a new playlist, so that will be stored in historical data and which will be shown with the timestamp during which the data was added or changed. So after this, we inserted some of the datas
So that we can confirm the tables are working or is there any problem. So that we just created some data
and we
and
inserted the data into the tables. So here we inserted data into user tracks and playlist table, and then we created the views.
so that there can be a virtual view so that we can have idea so like how the data are inserted and what are the data.
Mhm. And then we have our
And
sequences and then triggers.
so the sequences started from 100 as we created where as we inserted the some of the data. So like in that the primary constraint problem not arise may not arise. So that's why we created from 100.
Yeah. And then we have our triggers, which are used to like trigger an event that happens after a user clicks on a button or he does something. Then an event occurred, and to control that event, we use the triggers. And these are the triggers that we used.
On the insert updating data.
Yeah,
This was the backend part.
this was our backend part, and I'll move on to the front end. So here we created the just a second. Yeah, here we created the user form. This is our Spotify management form. And if we add some values over here,
So let us assume
we add a value
with
to
a two and
just we need to add this
so
value.
this was the uh like the data we already inserted in the backend, the Oracle 19c.
And
This
if
was
we
the
click on open history data,
so first of all, if we enter the data like 303
yeah,
and the username Guzman, then guzman@gmail.com and his date of birth. Let us assume NLC. And when we add this, it usually go in there. And if you need
and
to
then we
check
can
the
show the history data over here. We just need to refresh it once and it would show over here guzman@gmail.com. It also shows the timestamp over here 1:55:53 and the date. After clicking on this button, we can go to return the form and we can also delete some data over here. If we just add the ones which we already have, we can click on this button and the data would be deleted. The next we have is the playlist form. Here we can add the playlist ID and the playlist name, or for example, we go to the previous one. Just a second. One. We can add it and then we can open history data. It would display over here, the one which we added at the end. After this, we can return to the form, go to the previous, and then we can delete it. Next is the tracks form.
so for the tracks form we have so like this is the one which is default. But if you want to add the new one 303 track trends, then we need to select the artist which we already created and we need to select it. These are the default we added inside this. Like this way, albums are also there. So we need to select it and what's the genre, like jazz, and then add the data. Sorry. Yeah.
Please. So this one isn't working right now, but we can go like previous over here. I guess there's some problem. Just a second. Try deleting this. But we go into the history table, we can see all the things that we did. We have our track name over here. We have the date, like today's date and the timestamp right now. These are all the ones which we did. We can return to the form. So yeah, this is about it. And now I'll show you the reports. Here's the user history report. These are the ones which we added. Tracks report, user. And as we mentioned in the backend part, we had the SQL queries for the history tables. We have the history table for the tracks, the history table for the user, and history table for the history report for the playlist. And these are the tracks report, user report, and the playlist report. So that's about our project. I know there was an error in between in the tracks form. Yeah, we would do that. And yeah, that is about our project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop recording.